Everybody, it is Arch Rivals Season 3, Week 16 in the books. However, we unfortunately start off the show with some terrible, terrible, terrible news. And here to share it on the show today is the Bear Man. Alex, what's doing?
How's everybody going? It's sad news indeed.
We also have Mr. Jonathan on the show. Jonathan, how you doing?
Hey, how you guys doing, fellas? Sad news. I heard about it about 15 minutes ago, and I couldn't believe it. I was in stunned disbelief and learned.
Well, it just so happens that we are talking currently about a god, the man of football knowledge, a man who never took a plane to travel to a game or a game site, a game broadcast. We unfortunately get to talk about the passing of NFL legend John Madden, who passed away Tuesday morning at the ripe old age of 85, 2 days after the John Madden documentary was released. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of really lost for a lot of words on this because not only was John Madden probably one of the best NFL head coaches of all time, he was probably one of the best broadcasters. And I mean, there's a laundry list of all of them, but probably one of the best broadcasters in NFL history.
No doubt.
Would you guys like to share any words before we throw up the lovely salute?
I'm like Prez. I'm lost for words. I can't believe gone. I can't even process the whole situation. You know, it's really sad. It's a tough day for football. You know, and I'm sure a lot of people like us in here wrap their head around this. I mean, I know that he lived a good life. He's 85 years old. But still, this is something you're never prepared for. Especially when someone who had an influence on our childhood or someone that's legendary, Madden. And you know, we talk about, I mean, John Madden. When you talk about John Madden, you think of football because he was football. I mean, he was football, and nobody knows football more than the coach. I mean, and one generation knows him as Hall of Fame coach. It's a sad day for the NFL world and just football in general. You know, we will never forget John Madden. We will always celebrate his legacy. Always remember him for great broadcasting, his announcement. I used to look forward to turning on Monday football. I knew I was going to listen to John Madden, and I knew that he had great knowledge of the game, and that he would, break it down better than anyone else. So I mean, it's a sad day for football. And this is a guy who has his own video, Matt, the video game that Bears game. It's just a sad story.
Alex, would you like to add anything? Okay, Alex, you're on mute.
Sorry. I was wondering why my voice was echoing. But mark my words, gentlemen. Never again will there be another John Madden. Never.
Do me a favor, Alex. Could you please give us Mr. Madden's stats?
Gladly. A 76% winning percentage. 103 and 32 and 7. A Super Bowl champion. amongst other things, and the list of accomplishments is just endless. But here's more. A 16-time Emmy Award winner. The Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Think of that. Not only was he a head coach, but he won 16 Emmys. Which goes to show, again, broadcasting was one of his better traits ever.
Amen.
Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
Amen.
Anything else to add to it?
I got to the best ones. I'm just out of respect. The best ones is what I like to put.
Okay, so in tribute to Mr. Madden, I have put together a little bit of a memorial for him. I have gone out and decided to give him a presidential salute because I think he is one of the true gods of football. I'm giving him the 21-gun salute, which is normally used for high-ranking government officials. So we're going to give you this little salute from us at ArchRivals Football. John Madden, you will be sorely missed. Your game hopefully will forever keep your name in great standing.
Honor guard, attain, hit, port, arms, half right, peace, unlock, rifle, prepare to fire, ready, aim, fire, ready, aim, fire, ready, aim, fire.
Okay, that had to be done. I am so lost at words. Like, this is not something that when you're doing show prep that you automatically walk into and you're like, holy cow, John Madden died. Do we not talk about this? Do we talk about it? Again, John Madden has a legacy of a game that is just, believe it or not, without reach at all. Like, it's just a very difficult time for me personally. I've definitely grown up and played and still possess every version, every copy of John Madden, all the way back to the beginning. And if you end up seeing Madden Football on this channel later on, I will be then paying homage to Mr. Madden because, again, John Madden is a coach that I grew up watching. Like, believe it or not, my little pubescent years of being 5 and 6 years old watching football, and there was John Madden with the Raiders. And then Monday Night Football or anything on Fox or CBS, there's John Madden. Any of the Thanksgiving Day games, the Madden turkey, the one that had like 8 legs on it one year, I think it was just completely insane.
What year was that?
Kind of like, I think it was one of the Thanksgiving days. It was the Cowboys. Aikman, Emmett, Irvin, and Johnston won the turkey honors. And there was a photo of Emmett walking around with 2 drumsticks in his hands.
Must have been before I was born, or it must have been when I was very little, because I'm too young to remember the Cowboys winning the Super Bowls, the Cowboys being very good. I'm too young.
It was just Thanksgiving was more special on Channel 5 when there was a Pat Summerall John Madden game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were specific just for those days. Like Thanksgiving Day, you always looked for John Madden. You always looked for his crew cooking the turkey on the Madden bus, because John Madden was not one to fly. Like, that was his shtick. He was not one of those ones that flew. He took a bus everywhere. He never did the Pro Bowl in Hawaii because there was no bus that went there. So that's exactly like the deal. Like, it's Madden.
You mentioned the Madden games. I mean, you remember when the Madden games first came out, Ricky? I think the first one was in 1989. Madden 09 was. Remember in Madden 09 how there was the video with him? It was the Madden test. and he would like welcome you to the 20th anniversary of Madden. And speaking of the Madden games, when I was first playing them, and every now and then, I'm not ashamed to admit that I utilized the Ask Madden option. And I did it because I was like, you know what? I might as well learn football. If I'm going to learn football in a video game, I might as well learn from the legend if I can do it. So I would say John Madden taught me the game of football.
Well, John Madden will always be a legend.
That's
for
how
me,
I started to learn.
And I still use
the man is football.
I still use that option.
He is football. John Madden is football. Like Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry, John Madden is football.
No question about it. He is football, and that game will always be around for many, many years to come. I mean, I grew up playing that game. From the days when Super Nintendo, the regular Nintendo. I mean, you played Madden. If you loved football, that was the game you played, Madden. So, yeah. I mean, you know, it's just a lot of memories that I would carry on with me for the rest of my life, and it's a real shame that he's now gone, that he's no longer with us.
John Madden prevented me from a childhood outside. I'm not even gonna lie when I tell you this, because as soon as I got a system that could go on the internet, I was there waxing that ass, playing Madden every day. There were times where I would get up, I'd eat breakfast, jump on Madden, eat lunch, jump back on Madden, eat dinner, jump back on Madden, go to bed, and next day repeat the same shit all over again. I must have played like 30, 40 games in a day. Like, that's how crazy John Madden always was for me. And that's probably why that, like, sometimes I know that the game should be better these days than it has been in the past. But graphically, it's just killing it. And I think that they, in this particular day and age, EA's really got to fix it, make it better. And I really do hope and pray that there's a real big Madden edition next year that gives them the tribute for his passing, because if they don't, they drop the ball.
You know, speaking of EA, you know how the introduction of the game has EA Sports in the game? I always said as a kid, or I always even said as an adult, it should have been John Madden's voice saying that. I always thought it would have been cool if it was John Madden's voice saying EA Sports. It's in the game.
In earlier versions, it was his voice. They got that whole EA robotic thing going on, and it just kind of killed it.
Yeah, it was. I remember, I believe it was when I had Super Nintendo, when I used to have those games, the Madden games.
See, I never had the Super Nintendo. That's why I wasn't aware of it.
PlayStation was the best
guys,
one at
it. I'm making y'all feel old. I'm sorry.
PlayStation was the best one at it.
Yeah.
The N64, Madden NFL 99 was my first game.
All right, so in other news, the global bastard has now retaken over the NFL. We now have Carson Wentz currently on the global bastard list. Bruce Arians is now added to the global bastard list. Mike Evans added to the global bastard list. Apparently the fucker doesn't want to go away. Then again, I got 15 phone calls this week alone. People are like, "Hey man, I'm not going to be around." You know, I got the global fuckery, and that's how that went. So, again, like, it's stupidity at its finest that this shit is fucking happening, but also at the same rate, I'm just kind of wondering, with the new protocol setup that they've got going on, that they're not giving the players or coaches the full 10 days. It's now only 5 days. Does that feel like a concern to you guys at all?
Yes and no. I say no because we're at a point in this whole thing that we need to kind of be a bit more, fearless, I should say. I guess I'm saying is we need to stop letting this whole thing take over. Like, we got to do something back, but at the same time, we do have to be careful. So I'm kind of like, I don't even know what to say, honestly. I mean, I'm just like you guys. I just wish this whole damn thing would go away. I mean, yes, I don't mean to sound. I know I just sounded like an a-hole right now, but y'all can just tell this whole thing. You know, I mean, I don't even know how the heck I'm still sane about this whole thing. I haven't lost it already.
Yeah, I have grown fatigued of this whole entire pandemic. I'm just ready for this virus to just disappear, just be over with already, because it has caused a lot of problems. And I've often said, guys, what it's going to come down to is the team that's able to beat COVID. That's what it's gonna come down to. It might dictate the outcome of which team wins the Super Bowl. It might just come down to that. And I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, that's the world we live in now. We're in the middle of a pandemic, believe it or not, and it's crazy. And you're only going to see more of this as time goes. It's only going to get worse. But, my recommendation to all the players out there is just, man, if you go on a trip, make it a business trip. You got to try to avoid seeing family right now because you got to make sacrifices for your team. Because the last thing you want is to have an outbreak, and this affects your entire season. So, I mean, these players got to be a little bit more cautious, be more careful. I know it's hard to do, but that's the world we live in now, and you're seeing names pop up on the list. And, I mean, that could be a huge problem for your team.
I mean, the problem is this whole thing has caused more problems than the world of sports. I mean, it's caused the problems in our lives.
Yes, absolutely. And you've seen people die from it. You've seen people recover from it. It's just
argue about it. I mean,
yeah,
it caused problems in our lives. Like I said,
that's
why it's called the global bastard. I mean, that's the way to call it.
So my question is this: do we at some point see later on? I mean, there's only 2 weeks left of the regular season. Then we have the postseason, which obviously I can't wait for because that's what I live for is postseason football. Do you see this as going to be maybe a more of a prevention down the line, especially with the playoff games and Super Bowl? Because obviously the Super Bowl is not something you could postpone. Obviously
not.
A playoff game you probably could move to another day if you needed to. But do you see this as any bigger issues down the line with about 6 weeks of football left?
Well, considering the fact that we all know this virus honestly won't go away because there's something like the flu. There's all these other viruses in history. So I think like this virus is just an added thing. So obviously it won't go away. But I don't know what the future holds really. I mean, because in the world we live in, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right, that's true.
I mean, they always told us expect the unexpected, and we don't know what's going to happen.
That's true, and there's going to be an alarming rate of cases. I mean, more people are going to contract this virus, and it's going to happen. It's a contact sport. You're constantly traveling, and there's no way to escape from this virus. I mean, it doesn't discriminate anyone. You can run all you want, but you can't hide from it. The biggest fear for me is players hiding their symptoms. They may know that they have the virus, but they don't want to sit it out because they know how huge they might be for their team or how much their team is going to need them because they're a huge factor for their success. So that's my biggest concern is players hiding their symptoms and playing knowing darn well that they have COVID.
I mean, bigger problem is that the virus affects everybody in a different way. Like sometimes you might have it, but you have like maybe one symptom or no symptoms at all. That's why I said we don't know what the future holds because when I tested positive last year, all I had was a dry cough and I couldn't smell. I had my energy, I had everything else. That's why, I mean, that's why I don't know what to say because it's just theory after theory. I mean, yeah. I'm no scientist, but I mean, anything I know is anything I've researched, but I don't know if it's true or not.
All right, so apparently this is a tweet that I just got, and it's actually pretty funny. The Panthers have released their best quarterback in Matt Barkley. Yes, that's an actual tweet.
Right. Like Dr. Evil said, right.
Really? All right, let's get into some games here because
rest in peace, Mini-Me.
I have to I'm gonna have to drink my night away with my diet chocolate soda.
I mean, the news really, it was so blindsiding. I felt like I got punched in the face. I mean, in your case, Ricky, I mean, you probably feel like you got knocked down, you got beaten up and mugged.
I almost feel like CM Punk wanting to punch MJF in his needle dick, but that's besides the point.
Well, it's probably going to happen.
All right, so we did have football on Saturday. We didn't have the show Saturday, so we're going to cover this now.
All right.
We did have the Green Bay Packers hosting the Cleveland Browns. Final score 24 for Green Bay, Cleveland 22. One of the interesting little tidbits of this game on Fox. A lot of people were complaining of the setup of the way the Browns helmet was. A lot of people claimed that the Browns helmet looked like a bunny rabbit pushing a shopping cart.
Actually, well, okay, did they say shopping cart? Because my sources said it was a walker.
Well, it was either a shopping cart or a walker. However, still pretty funny that Fox did that to them.
I mean, I feel a little bit horrible for laughing because you see something with a walker, it's a sad situation, but
I believe Fox could have done a better job doing the graphic,
definitely.
or at least at some point, at maybe like after the first quarter, they could have turned the graphic from orange to brown. It may have worked a little bit, or a gray background or something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It was difficult to see at first. It probably took me 45 seconds to finally see if that was that looked like a rabbit.
People screenshotted it and sent it to me and were like, "What do you think this picture is?" And I was like, "My God, it's supposed to look like the Browns helmet." But maybe, just maybe, they should have just had me do the graphics for the show, and make the Browns helmet actually look good. I don't know.
Our boy Chris, you and Chris.
But there was an actual game here. I know we're making fun of Fox because they're visually retarded. Green Bay actually had a decent lead in this game and then forgot to play defense in the fourth quarter. Then again, Baker Mayfield is, my God, very horrible at this point. I understand he's
four
still
interceptions,
hurt, but his offensive play on Saturday night was just miserable.
I mean, from what I understand, that game-stealing interception is certainly under controversial circumstances. You guys saw that play, right?
Yes.
Was that
I unfortunately watched
it?
I unfortunately watched the entire game.
Okay, you saw that play, right, Jonathan?
I saw that play.
Was it pass interference, or should there have been some sort of flag on the Packers defense?
There probably should have been a flag on the Packers, but I mean, when you look at the overall game, Baker Mayfield threw 4 interceptions.
Yeah, exactly.
The result wouldn't have really mattered that much because Baker Mayfield made more mistakes than one bad call.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I would have said, even if the play had worked, how do we know that maybe a play or two later, Baker Mayfield would have shit the bed?
Right. So you can't blame it on technicality. You just can't.
You can't. I mean, officiating is horrible overall. That's not just in football. That's in sports, period.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there's going to be calls and no calls and calls that's not in favor of the players, our particular teams. That's in every professional sport. It's not only in football, it's in basketball, it's in baseball. It's in every sport. But once again, the defense looked stout for the Green Bay Packers.
Until the fourth quarter, at least.
Until the fourth quarter. They fell asleep in the fourth quarter. But overall, the defense got it done. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron freaking Rodgers. We all know that, how great of a quarterback he is. He clearly outplayed and outdueled his counterpart, which was Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield just doesn't look like himself. Baker Mayfield has struggled, but this defense put a lot of pressure on him, and they forced him into 4 turnovers.
I got to say this, though. And on the analysis part of this for the Green Bay Packers, I first off, I think that if their defense falls asleep like that and they do that in the playoffs, they're pretty much going to get destroyed early. When you play defense the way that the Packers did, you can't just play for 45 minutes of the game. You got to play the full 60. I'm sorry to tell you this. If they go against a hot team like Tampa, a team that can get hot like Arizona, a team that can get hot like the Rams, their fourth quarter is going to be the fourth quarter nightmare.
Yeah,
so that's what I say about my Cowboys defense. I mean, that defense was rock solid the entire game.
Medina,
that's been the case since Thanksgiving.
Medina, you missed the Madden talk. We took about 20 minutes in the beginning of the show to talk about Mr. Madden. You know, the idol, the god of football.
I mean, when it comes to defense, Ricky, I mean, there's the saying, defense wins championships. So you got to play defense the entire way. Even if you're destroying a team like the Cowboys were doing to the Washington football team, you don't get your foot off the gas pedal. I mean, the Cowboys offense did that briefly, but
in a game where it's not like the Dallas-Washington game. Obviously, we're going to get to that game in a little bit. But in a game where you're up like, let's say 3 scores in the fourth quarter, you're not sitting there resting your starters in the fourth quarter, okay? I don't care if you're playing the Pee Wee Giants or the Little Giants, okay? Obviously, teams are going to take advantage of certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, even though the Browns are still in global bastard protocol, they did not have their full team, and they still mounted an actual comeback against Green Bay. Again, if this happens to the Packers in the playoffs, they're going to be in trouble. Because, again, you've only played defense for 45 minutes. You have to play it for the full 60. And this is probably going to be one of those things you're going to see as an ongoing theme throughout the playoffs, is if you see a team sit there and start to ride the gas pedal a little bit, like they're just going to hover and coast, that could be the dramatic downfall for a lot of teams.
I think I have you asked why would the defense do that, Ricky? Yeah, I think I have an answer for you, and it might be logical. Maybe they were thinking, oh, well, Aaron's our quarterback. Aaron will take care of the rest.
Listen.
I mean, come on. It's teamwork.
Again, there's a reason why you have 11 guys on one side of the ball and 11 guys on the other side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
One guy cannot always be your savior all the time. Aaron Rodgers is human, and he can be very fragile. So, again, like, I don't know if I'd really want to be sitting there putting my money on Aaron Rodgers to win us a game every week of the season. It shouldn't rightfully be that. If you're up by that much, stay up by that much.
Right, exactly. And if your defense has been that solid all year, then it shouldn't be a liability.
No.
At all, you know. And, I mean, but the defense did clinch that victory, though. You know, I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to that defense. But I understand what you're saying, Prez. They need to play a lot better, and they need to do a better job finishing games, closing out games. If they could do that, the Green Bay Packers look beatable to me, unbeatable to me.
Well, moving on to the 8:15 game on Saturday evening. Now, I'm giving you all the Eastern Standard times, so if you don't live in the Eastern Standard and you think I'm kind of foolish, well, that's your problem. Yeah, you're an hour behind.
And Jonathan's in the West, so he's 2 hours behind.
I'll just tell you guys the future.
Yeah, you'll be in 2022 an hour before me.
Yes, I will. And I'll be still saying it the hour before or the 2 hours before. All right. We did have the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Indianapolis Colts in a game I actually had a little bit more of higher expectations than the way that this game actually looked. We had the Colts 22, Cardinals 16. And how the mighty have fallen within 3 weeks. That's all I can say about that. The Arizona Cardinals have fallen mightily in the last 3 weeks.
Because I'm familiar with Mr. Cliff Kingsbury, he has a history in his coaching career that he starts off strong and then his team falls on mediocrity the second half of the season. We saw that during his time at Texas Tech University. So it's something like his first in 2013 when he was coaching Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech was 7-0 and then lost 5 straight. So that's what I'm saying. And a lot of people have saying the Cardinals were overrated since the beginning, and now we're finally getting the full picture of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, my boys have to play him this week, and we'll have to see if they can beat him, and then we'll probably have a different idea. But you know, Arizona lost J.J. Watt, but I doubt that did much damage or any damage at all. DeAndre Hopkins' absence is certainly bad, but the Cardinals are still loaded. I just don't know what's going on. I mean, Kyler Murray himself just simply said, and I quote, "bad football," unquote. I mean, even he doesn't know what's going on, I bet, if he's just going to say it's just bad football.
it's hard to sustain the level of success that the Cardinals have sustained. I mean, they came into the season hot. Usually a team cools down one way or another. A team very rarely stays hot for a full season. I mean, you just don't see it. And now, the Cardinals have picked the wrong time to decide to lose football games, But I think the Cardinals will be fine. They still have a good team. They have a lot of weapons. They have the offensive firepower to make some noise. They definitely have a pretty good defense as well. But we can't forget who their opponent was. It was the Indianapolis Colts. And the Indianapolis Colts, the thing is, they were shorthanded. They didn't have all their offensive linemen. They were depleted. But they still have a running back by the name of Jonathan Taylor who can beat you with his feet. And then you had Carson Wentz, of course. But then, they added another formula on Saturday, and that was true grit. I mean, this is a gritty team that likes to fight. And the Indianapolis Colts have done a good job this season putting up a fight. They're well coached. They have opportunistic defense, and they have a strong running game. Those three things are what you need to win playoff games. And that's why I have the Colts as my dark horse going into the playoffs. Frank Wright is a gutsy and an aggressive play caller. He has coached this team pretty well, has had this team prepared week in and week out. And the Indianapolis Colts, to me, this is a team you don't want to sleep on.
I mean, that's why the loss of Carson Wentz, I don't think it's going to do much because they still have the running game. But
yes, it will.
Okay.
Yes, it will.
Well, I mean, is Sam Ehlinger? Did they announce if Sam Ehlinger starts?
Well, apparently there's also talks of them bringing back Mr. Phillip Rivers for, I think the last two regular season games. Obviously, he knows the playbook. So it's not like we're going to be putting in a quarterback with zero experience. Having Phillip Rivers come back is a bonus in a way because you're getting an actual bona fide NFL starter, not like a journeyman Josh Johnson or anything like that. But at the same rate, though, you're going to have a dramatic drop-off in production if their third-string rookie quarterback or backup quarterback or whatever you want to list them on the depth chart is, you're going to have a dramatic drop-off. If you really want to see how bad it is, go to that Saints Dolphins game from last night and look at Mr. Ian Block, who had legitimately no clue what he was doing on Monday Night Football. Zero. He was like a little 5-year-old playing chess with 53-year-old men. Okay, it is not anything fathomably possible that you're going to bring in this guy and he's going to bring you to the promised land. So I hope and pray that the Colts do something. Otherwise, that fluidity that they had with Carson Wentz behind center is going to be gone quick.
All right.
But also, think of it this way. He's listed early enough in the week on the global bastard list. If they do implement that 5-day thing, he could be eligible by Saturday. There are no games on Thursday Night Football. There are no games on Saturday. It is a full 16-game slate on Sundays now for the last 2 final weeks of the year. So the Colts can be positive that they get Wentz back, but I think they also need to find another contingency plan, not the guy who's never taken an NFL snap in his career. That's the way I kind of look at that. Colts will be in trouble if they don't. Okay, Sunday football. Game I just really threw open my mouth a little bit because I was watching football on Sunday. They legit come to halftime and there was no highlights in the game. The New York Giants traveled to Philly. Final score, Eagles 34, Giants 10. Mr. Joe Judge gave Mr. Jake Fromm 1/2 and said, hey, let's shit the bed some more. And put in Mike Lennon.
And speaking of Joe Judge, they announced he ain't going nowhere.
Unfortunately, I don't think him or Danny Dimes are going anywhere, which is a very, very huge mistake on the Giants' behalf.
But you know what? If you're the
The only
Washington
way-
football,
the
if
only
you're
way
the, if you're
those
the,
Go
go ahead.
is if Gettleman is fired, then Joe Judge goes as well.
I don't think anybody's getting fired then. But you know what? If you're Washington, Philadelphia, or Dallas, you know what? Keep them. That's fine. Who cares?
Well, let's just kind of like look at it this way.
This
all right?
division needs a jabroni, even though they're all jabronis.
Either way, the Giants will be looking for their 4th offensive coordinator in 4 years.
Which is bad.
Obviously now, they put the blame on Jason Garrett, which again, if you don't have the players in the system, obviously the offense is not going to run. But that was kind of the Giants' scapegoat. Let's blame it on him because he's too happy clapping all the time. Leave the poor bastard alone, all right? He's happy that he has an NFL job.
I mean, now you can't blame him.
Regardless of whether or not Gettleman is gone at the end of the season, Joe Judge has 1 year to turn it around. Whether or not, again, the rumors, and I quote this big time, rumors that Mr. Wilson is coming from Seattle to MetLife, that's not going to happen.
Even if it does,
it's not a fail-safe plan.
I mean, even if it does, it's not going to work.
It's horrible, okay?
They don't have a great offensive line either, so.
And that was one of the knocks on Gettleman with the hog mollies wall bullshit,
Right.
because he said he was going to fix the offensive line. He's had 3 years to do it, and all 3 years, he's more than shit the bed. He's shit the entire room. So
he shit the house.
And now the Giants are going to have 2 picks in the top 10 in the first round of the draft in 2022. And it's going to be up to them to start using all of these draft picks that they got to plug as many holes on this boat as possible. On the other side, the Eagles did play a good second half of football, at least, because all of their highlights were in the second half, not the first half. And I'm not joking when I said it. Every national TV broadcast that I watched said, "Oh yeah, this game's tied at 3-3 at half. There's no highlights," and they moved on. I'm not even kidding when I tell you this.
I mean, there was nothing to talk about. I mean, it's a good thing they did.
I'm not a fan of Joe Judge's decision of taking out Jake Fromm after the first half. You already know what you have in Mike Lennon, again, a quarterback who's not won an NFL game since 2017. And that's it. Let Fromm play an entire game. Okay. You do not know what you have in Jake Fromm. You don't.
Right.
That's a big mistake. Okay. You already know you're not making the playoffs. Every game that you lose is going to get you a higher seed in the draft process. You definitely know this weekend when they play the Bears, you're going to want to tank against the Bears. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe you might want to try to win the game because the Bears may give you a better pick. But they have the Bears pick in the first round this year. So you automatically are going to get 2 top 10 picks. Maybe back-to-back for that matter. That might be amazing. I don't know. But I'll give it to Philly. They're on a run. They're on a playoff run. They did lose their running back to a broken hand. That could be an issue. But this Philly team is looking like the Baltimore team and the Giants teams of the past where you had guys like Kerry Collins and like they just didn't play well on their teams, but the defenses still carried them. Trent Dilfer, kind of the same thing.
Which
so that's kind of the way Philly looks like.
Hurt?
Miles Sanders, I believe, broke his hand.
So is it safe to assume he's out for the season?
He's out for this week. He could play with a cast on his hand.
Okay.
But he broke a bone in his hand. So they've already listed him out for Sunday.
No surgery?
I'm assuming there's surgery if you broke a bone in your hand.
Yeah.
So that's how that looks.
That's a tough loss for the Eagles. But the Eagles, they might just bounce their way into the playoffs.
Obviously, they're not winning the division. We could put that on ice right now.
No,
Dallas already got it. I mean, Dallas got it before the end of the game.
They're definitely in playoff conversation, though, for sure. They're 8-7. They have won 6 of 8 after opening the season 5 of 7. So, I mean, they definitely have moved into playoff positioning, and they definitely have turned it around late. It took them some time, but they finally figured it out.
All right, now I wish Darnell was here because I'd love to have him and Mark squabble at each other. Okay, we had the Minnesota Vikings hosting the LA Rams. Final score: Rams 30, Vikings 23. In a game that Matt Stafford. What happened, Matt? He crapped the bed too. Apparently, special teams carried this game, majority of it. I will say that. But Minnesota's still barely hanging on in the NFC race. Rams then go ahead of the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West, which makes some very big drama for the next two games, I would say. Any comments on this game? No.
Well, I get. I mean, Mr. Bravo says that Minnesota is very likely out of the playoffs now. You know, that's probably technically not true. I don't know if they've been officially eliminated yet. I mean, Minnesota's got to play Green Bay in Lambeau Field next before finishing out the season against the Bears. So
they're still mathematically in contention.
Yeah,
they're not eliminated just yet.
I think they're not eliminated until like next week if they lose.
Yes,
the next game,
and they got to beat Green Bay to beat the next game. So they got to beat the first team to beat Green Bay in Lambeau Field this year, which will be a damn miracle.
Matthew Stafford was definitely out of rhythm in this game. He got a lot of help from, like what Prez said, special teams. You know, he didn't look too good, you know, in this past game. I don't know. Matthew Stafford to me is up and down. If he could be consistent like he was when he first opened the season, this Rams team could be dangerous. You know,
is the Stafford injury what's having him play bad, or is he just having a bad roll of the dice right now?
I think both.
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's the injury and the fact that he's just a little inconsistent at times. You know, he misses his receivers sometimes. Sometimes his throws are not on target. They're not accurate throws down the field. Sometimes he has a tendency to rush his throws. And that forces him into making throws that, you know, he later regrets making. You know, he either sometimes overthrow his receivers or he underthrows. And I mean, you know, that's not always good. That could result in a turnover. We've seen it. But you know, Cooper Kupp is having the year of his life. You know, they definitely got playmakers. Robert Woods was a huge loss for the team. It was a bit deflating. But this Rams team, man, they could do some big things in the playoffs. I'm just a little worried about that secondary because all they really have in that secondary is Jalen Ramsey.
That is true. That's all they have there is Jalen Ramsey. I mean, they are going to get a big run with the run game coming back. I believe Henderson's coming back. Akers is coming back. Sony Michel had a day. He had his first 100-yard rushing game of his career, I believe. So, I mean, it does make it interesting on that fact. But, again, I think the concern right now is you got to keep Matt Stafford standing up. You have him hit the deck too many times. Potentially, you're going to have a bad run on that offense. But it is good to see that the Rams are actually running the ball again. I will give them that.
Yeah, it'll be just like last year all over again when Jared Goff went down.
All right. A game where I cried. Buffalo Bills at Gillette. Patriots hosting the Buffalo Bills. Final score, Buffalo 33, New England 21. Buffalo takes over first place in the AFC East. New England drops to the 6th spot in the playoffs standings. I'm going to say this. My boys did play stupid football on Sunday. Stupid football. One drive that legit cost them the game. They caught the rookie offsides on a 4th and 7. Gave Buffalo a chance to score. A lot of drop passes. Offensively and defensively, I'm going to say. because there were quite a few balls that should have been picked. They weren't. I will say this, that the spotlight on Mac Jones is burning him a little bit. He's not as stable as he was on the beginning of the run that they had after starting at 2-4. Buffalo did impress me with their play calling. No Cole Beasley, but they definitely had plenty of backup for that position in the slot. So I give them that credit. But Buffalo's defense, to me, is still pretty suspect.
Yeah, despite the fact that Micah Hyde made 2 interceptions.
Well, one of them, believe it or not, again, is off of a catch that should have been made that was not made. And then there was one overthrow. So, again, like, I don't have – if they run into a team, again, like the Colts, or they run into a team – let me see how I could really possibly put it. Like the Pats again, I think that's very possible of them playing each other in the playoffs, that potentially teams will look to run the ball about 85% against that defense because it's not pliable at all.
Right.
That's the way I look at that.
But now things are interesting because now Buffalo holds tiebreakers over New England and Miami.
Which is a game that I really cannot wait to talk about coming up. But I will say this, though. All it takes is one Freudian slip in the last 2 games, and as many tiebreakers as they have, Buffalo could still lose the division.
Right. And it could go either way at this point, too.
Because I believe
anybody could shit the bed.
I believe Buffalo's schedule is stronger than the Pats. I'm not 100% on that, but there's only 2 games left. So
I can check.
Because the Patriots have Jacksonville this weekend coming, and then they have the Dolphins the last week of the season. I don't remember who Buffalo has.
Well, Buffalo's got they got the Jets in their final game. Let's see. Who do they have next?
And in recent history,
they got Atlanta. They got Atlanta at home.
And in recent history, Miami has had a lot of success against New England.
Mm-hmm. So should be a very interesting 2 weeks of the season left for them. But I do hopefully expect a bounce back this weekend against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh yeah.
Okay, next on the lovely docket. Yes. And I have a great commentary on this, guys. I hope you're ready for this.
All right.
It was the Carolina Panthers hosting the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, the global bastard hit the Buccaneers this past weekend. No Fournette, no Godwin, no Mike Evans. However, there was an AB sighting. Final score, Tampa Bay 32, Carolina 6. And here is my bonus commentary for the game. The Carolina Panthers upped the New York Giants. I am so proud of the Carolina Panthers for their fan appreciation this weekend. For the first time ever in NFL history, a fan appreciation was the gift of a large beer. A large beer. First time ever in NFL history, the Carolina Panthers promoted alcohol for their fan appreciation. Better than last week's giveaway of
Pepsi.
The medium Pepsi. Giants fans, get where I'm going here. I would have rather gone to a Panthers game than gone to your Giants game.
And that's coming from a native New Yorker.
Jonathan, tell me which is better, beer or Pepsi?
Beer all day.
Thank you.
All day.
All day.
First NFL team ever to promote alcohol on Fan Appreciation Day.
I would have asked Ricky, is that a rhetorical question?
Well, there are some people that don't drink.
Yeah.
They probably would prefer
the Pepsi.
The Pepsi, but they would say
in a smaller cup, okay, which is like 2 sips, because we do know how all vendors like to fill their cups up full of ice and then give you the drink of choice. That is a definite truth. I know this. I worked at Burger King. They taught me the exact same way. That's why I never order a drink with ice. I want the full amount of liquid in my cup, not half or a quarter. Cheap
I mean,
bastards.
it's in a machine. It's cold already. That's all we need.
Yes, it is. Give me some Tampa Bay stats, please.
Oh, with my honor. Let's see. Well, Tom Brady, 18 for 30, 232 yards and a touchdown. And the starting running back, well, was it Ronald Jones who started, or was it Keyshawn Vaughn?
Well, Ronald Jones did start the game.
Okay,
but,
he got more. He got more snaps.
Mr. Vaughn, however, was the better back for the game.
The better back. I mean, Antonio Brown was back. Had 10 catches for 101 yards.
By the way, how many completions did Mr. Thomas Edward Brady have?
18.
And how many targets
did
Mr. AB? How many targets did Mr. AB have?
It doesn't say. Right
15.
Here. 15.
10 times Antonio Brown caught the ball out of 15 targets. The majority of his targets was AB. That is saying something. Oh, and I will give you this tidbit too. Jonathan, you got the secret ready? If you can, pick up Antonio Brown off the waiver wire. He's going to be huge this Sunday.
AB is a bad man. I mean, we talk about his antics and what he has done on and off the field, but we cannot forget that he's one of the most productive wide receivers in the NFL, and he's still at the top of his game, and he's still one of the best to ever do it. So, I mean, hey, AB is obviously doing something right in Tampa Bay. I mean, you know, Tom Brady seems to love him. He targets him. That's his go-to guy now, along with Rob Gronkowski. It's great to see, and this team is very well still in contention to do something in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, do me a favor, Alex. Give me some Panthers stats, please, because I need to laugh at this after knowing the fact that all of the fans got drunk during the Carolina game.
Well, tell me.
Give me like just top of everything, because I know they're not great numbers.
Noon started this game, right?
Yes. Did he say I'm back on the bench?
Yeah.
Okay.
7 for 13, 61 yards and a pick until Mr. Sam Darnold finally came back. And I'll be honest, I actually completely forgot about Sam Darnold. I forgot that he was a member of the Panthers.
They actually activated him before game time. Sorry, I can't help myself. Oh, guess what, Sam? We're gonna bench Cam, and you got to play the rest of the game.
He's like, okay.
Give me some Darnold numbers, please.
15 for 32, 190 yards, no picks, no touchdowns.
Jonathan, who's staying on the bench next week, Cam or Darnold?
Darnold.
You think Darnold's still staying on the bench week 17?
It's a tough call.
Well, they play the Saints in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a boring.
Maybe you know what? Maybe you do stay with Darnold. I don't know at this point, because Matt Rule, I think, is going to be coaching for his job.
I think he's way beyond that point. I think it might be a lost cause now. But
you heard fire chants from the fans this weekend.
Yeah, but it's not often that the team executives, especially the owner, listens to the fans. I mean, a lot of them don't.
Yeah, I don't know what you do in this point if you're Matt Rule. I don't know if you play Sam Darnold. I don't know if you play Cam Newton, because either one of these quarterbacks are really going to do much for you.
We all thought Matt Nagy would be fired, and that hasn't happened yet.
Oh, he will. He will.
Now I have to ask about that analysis that he gave, that it took Jay-Z to get to a certain point, like 7 years. Does he really believe he could put himself in the same boat as Jay-Z?
That's ridiculous.
I mean, a football coach comparing himself to a rapper.
Yeah,
I mean, both jobs are brutal. I mean, people think rapping is a joke. Like, no, it's not. You don't just write poetry and then rap. No, you got to have the contacts. I mean, you risk a lot.
But a rapper's not coaching an entire football team either. And sports is different from the music industry. Totally two different
worlds. Yeah,
2 different worlds. So no, that's a insane comparison to me.
So while we're sitting here on the Tampa spot, the news came in earlier today that the Jacksonville Jaguars are rating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coaching staff for their new head coach.
And Cowboys. They requested to interview Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn. If you guys want my thoughts, if they want Kellen Moore, I don't care. But Dan Quinn stays put.
But what is the Jonathan, what is the reach that you have on the Byron Leftwich, Todd Bowles acquisitions? Because those were the two names that were listed for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the head coaching search starts.
Yeah, you know what? Byron Leftwich to Jacksonville, you're saying?
Yes.
I like that. I think he'll be a great hire. He used to play there. He's really done a good job as an assistant coach under Bruce Arians. I think he'll do great. I think he can relate to a young quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, possibly go there, help with his development, kind of groom him, help him grow and prosper. And I think it's actually a good hire. He can work with a young quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. I like that move, actually.
Yes, because that was the news that came out earlier today, that they had requested permission to talk to Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles. I think it's a pretty smooth move if you're going to try to take a coordinator from a team in your state. It's, again, very interesting. Not like they're going to go to like Miami and do it, but the names of that list are pretty interesting. They are really, really interesting.
I think he's well deserving of a coaching job. I think he's proved himself that he can coach an NFL team, and I think Jacksonville will be a great place to start.
I mean, for Leftwich, yeah. I mean, he's better off going there than Kellen Moore. I mean, Dan Quinn is doing good as a defensive coordinator. And I think in his case, since this is his fresh start, I think he's going to stay in that position for several more years.
I don't think he wants that headache of head coaching.
I don't think he does. He's doing a good job with the Cowboys defense. I mean, compared to how horrible the defense was last year, now it is. I mean, this Cowboys defense is better than the one we saw a few years ago. I mean, this might be the best defense since God knows how long. I mean, I've never seen a Cowboys defense like this before. Have you? I mean, 4 straight games of them being like the way they are. I've never seen that. Never.
Yeah.
Now we got to see how they do the playoffs, but still, I mean, at least there are good signs. I mean, last years there was not the best signs with the defense, but now there's more confidence on the defense than ever as far as the Dallas. I mean, more people are praising the defense than before. But
speaking of defense, I actually got to watch a very subpar, decent game on Sunday, where I will quote Abu from The Simpsons. Defense, you called it blowing. It was the New York Jets hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jets 26, Jaguars 21. And I will say this. I understand Urban Meyer was not coaching the game on Sunday, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are the complete and utter dumpster fire of the NFL. With a chance to win the game on the 5-yard line, they could not get an offensive set to win the game, in which they pretty much lose the game on a penalty, which again blows.
Quick question, Ricky.
This what?
The play they needed was at the 1-yard line, was it? They needed 1 yard, right?
Yes, and they could not get their offense set correctly.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just have to ask. I had to.
I don't know if I blame the coaching or do I blame the players in the game with the play? Because
it's a team effort. So I mean, you win and lose as a team.
Yeah.
It looked like Taz was running around on the field, just spinning around aimlessly with no direction. That's exactly what the Jacksonville Jaguars looked like on their last play in the fourth quarter. Now, this was a battle of the first drafted quarterback in the NFL and the second drafted quarterback from the 2021 draft. In a lot of ways, I was not impressed by either one of them in the game. Then again, I wasn't impressed by either team in the game. Jacksonville did lose their starting running back for the year. Torn ACL, done.
Was it? I thought it was an Achilles. Was it the ACL?
Yeah. Well,
what's the name of it? Let me look it up for you.
I can't remember what his name is right now.
Okay. I'll look it.
I'm still in the Madden fog. I can't I had the name and gone. In fact, the guy.
No, not Robinson. Sorry.
Yes, Robinson.
Was it
Robinson tore something in his leg. He's done for the year.
Okay, because he had a heel injury earlier this season. So
yeah, well, he's now gone for the rest of the year, which might be a bonus for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It is, yeah, and it's torn Achilles.
Yes,
but still, torn ACL, torn Achilles. The bottom line is it's a gruesome injury, and the length and the time to recover is quite lengthy. I mean, it's not just the surgery; it's the rehab. I mean, you literally got to rebuild that knee and then get it strong again.
Jonathan, you have any outlook on this game? Because I really don't want to spend a lot of time on it.
I mean, like you said, it wasn't that impressive. But one thing that did stand out in this game was Zach Wilson, because he set a franchise record for a quarterback running the football by amassing 89 yards on the ground on 3 carries. So I guess that's the only takeaway from this game, really. Because both of these teams, as you alluded to moments ago, are dumpster fires. And there are other jokes in the National Football League. Definitely, you can use them as an internet punchline and crack a lot of jokes about them and post memes about how terrible both of these football teams are, as we did weeks ago when we talked about Urban Meyer and him getting a lap dance by some random chick in a bar.
Well, now he could do it and get away with it. That is true. All right, so moving from one dumpster fire to the next one. Down south, we had another dumpster fire. We had the Atlanta Falcons hosting the Detroit Lions in a snoozer, I will say. Final score, Falcons 20, Detroit Lions 16. The beat goes on and on for the Detroit Lions, whom, if the Jacksonville Jaguars would have actually done their job and won the game, instead of looking like a bunch of displaced children looking for a cookie,
oh my God.
The Detroit Lions would have been the number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
No, hold on. I gotta say thank you. When you played the Simpsons reference, since I love the Simpsons, I'm thank you for that.
You're welcome. I there is an emergence of a wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, although I'm going to use a Kurt Angle slang for this next part. Jared Goff sucks.
Yes, absolutely.
He really sucks.
I mean, I could have told you that one.
I mean, again, it's true. It's damn true. It's true.
I watched the guy play, and I will say this again. He cannot read the field.
I will say, I will give the Detroit Lions credit that they do have a up-and-coming wideout, Mr. St. Brown, whom looks like a real deal player. However, I think if he had a real quarterback to throw him the ball 100% of the time, it would be a very, very viable option. But the Detroit Lions are still a dumpster fire, and I still think the Atlanta Falcons are a dumpster fire still.
You know what?
I feel bad for this guy. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, 9 catches, 91 yards. I mean, the dude's been good all season. I mean, he had a couple of games where he was a ghost, obviously, because of the quarterback situation. But this dude is actually pretty damn good.
Another guy that I saw a lot of USC. But, I want to say something real quick about Dan Campbell, man. I think the players have bought into his system. I think they really love playing for him. He's a very passionate guy, fiery. I love his demeanor. I love how he's come in and he's trying to reestablish that team's culture. I think this guy is going to be here for next season, and I really think the players love playing for him.
I think the players love him more than the evil kitty being on camera right now.
Yeah, this guy. Well, I mean, if he meows with the mic, guys, your ears are there's gonna be a high pitched sound, so I gotta avoid that.
Okay, so the next game, before I even put it up on the screen, I will going to ask you this Cardinal question. How many times do you slam your head with the car door after knowing the fact that the Houston Texans upset the LA Chargers on Sunday? Final score, Texans 41, Chargers 29. Justin Herbert lost his 2nd game in a row. Looked like he was back in Pee Wee football. Keenan Allen, not very many targets. Mike Williams out for the game. I give this one away. I'm just as speechless as probably half the people that bet on it.
I'm speechless too. I'm in utter shock about the outcome of that game. But you know what? The Chargers have been up and down all season. You know, the other day I said that they're like a Six Flags roller coaster. They've been up and down.
And I like that. I like how you describe us that.
There's been a lot of twists and turns, and this time the roller coaster featured a loop. And you know, now their season has really been turned upside down. You know, but I mean, you know, Justin Herbert had a very subpar performance. Didn't look like himself. Had a few turnovers in the game that cost his team, that proved very costly for the Chargers. But this has been their problem all season, is consistency. And so even though it's surprising that they lost to the Texans, you know, at the same time, it's not that much of a surprise because we've been seeing this time and time again this season from the Chargers. They don't really know who they are. They don't really have an identity for themselves.
I mean, we say that, I'll ask ourselves, do they know if they're in LA or in San Diego? They'll probably say, we're in Southern Cal. Doesn't matter.
Either way, I need some numbers, Alex. I know you're good on this one, okay?
I got them.
Give me, let me get Davis Mills stats.
You know, I'm not surprised you asked for Davis Mills first because the Texans scored 41 points. I think that's the most points they scored all season. Unless there's a game I forgot.
It might be the most points that they've scored in more than 3 games this season, but it's
probably
besides the point.
But Mr. Mills, 21 for 27, 254 yards, and 2 touchdowns and no picks. But I got you one better. Rex Burkhead, 22 carries, 149 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Which is very, very surprising because who was I screaming for all year for the Houston Texans? Mr. Burkhead. Why is he not playing? Why is he sitting on the bench? Why is he sitting there with a thumb up his ass?
There you go. Besides the point. Besides the point, right, Ricky?
And he puts up 140 plus yards since he's left Pats. And finally you sit there and say, oh my God, we got a running back. Holy shit. We only had 4.
You had a running back. You had him.
And he was just sitting there with a thumb up his ass.
In a state of confusion, too.
Well, we go from that state of confusion with the Chargers to the state of confusion in Cincinnati. Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Baltimore Ravens.
You know, and Joe Burrow made that statement he made? I'm like, you know, he's right. The Ravens did do that. So, I mean, hey, payback's the you-know-what. And speaking of Joe Burrow, you know, when he said that, he looked like the kid from Home Alone. I swear, he made the face like the kid from Home Alone.
Jonathan, give me a little bit of take on this because my analysis for this one.
He didn't do that face, you know, the washing face, but Joe Burrow did look like the kid from Home Alone.
You know what? The Ravens are depleted too. They got thrashed in this game. I mean, they got completely destroyed. You know, and this goes back to John Harbaugh, man. Last week you had a chance to tie the game, and you decide to go for a 2-point conversion on a critical play. I mean, you should have tied the game up. You might have had a chance to win the game. I know it was against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, but have more confidence in your offense and your team that they can get it done. So that game might have came back to bite them in this one. The Bengals, they keep a hold on the AFC North after simply demolishing the Ravens. The Ravens are without half of their secondary. You have no Marlon Humphrey. You have a few players missing in that secondary. Your quarterback wasn't playing. Lamar Jackson. He's possibly he could return this weekend from what I've heard. But the Ravens are banged up, and it's not very surprising because the Bengals have been playing really good football. And Joe Burrow, I mean, he's the real deal. He's has really emerged into a star quarterback for this Bengals team. And you know, he's making all the plays. You He's leading his team down the field. So, I mean, it's not really that much of a surprise to see the Bengals do what they're doing, and to see that the Ravens got beat down the way they did. They've been ravaged by COVID-19, and that has left their roster depleted. So, I mean, it is what it is. For a while now, the Bengals have been flying high with a high flying offense.
Well, I'm going to kind of make this reference. Joe Burrow was playing Madden on Sunday. It was like him playing in a game on easy, puts up 525 in passing yards, all the scores. Like it was good to see finally a breakout from the Cincinnati Bengals. And as much as we didn't have Lamar Jackson, I still would have liked to have seen possibly Tyler Huntley a third week in a row. I do see a lot of potential in that kid. I think if he actually does get a starting job somewhere, that he will be very successful. It is Lamar 2.0, so I'm going to be kind of happy with that. But I'm going to say that the Ravens should have been in a better spot 2 weeks prior, when they lost the game to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
If they win, if they actually play the way I say, take the points and run, they have a better shot against Pittsburgh. They have a better shot against the Green Bay Packers, and it probably puts them in a better position. Now, Baltimore Ravens are on their way on the outside looking in.
On the outside looking in. And back to that game real quick, the Bengals scored every time they had the ball until late in the fourth quarter. And that's another thing. Joe Burrow can stretch the field because he has two dynamic receivers. He has T. Higgins and he has Jamar Chase. And don't forget about Boyd as well. So he definitely has receivers, but Joe Burrow has done a great job stretching the field as well. And those guys are going out making plays for him. So this Bengals team is really making some noise in that AFC North.
All right, so we had another game, which was kind of a semi-dumpster fire.
I got something to say about this game.
What were you talking about? The Bears and Seahawks?
No, Joe Burrow.
Oh, say something quickly about Joe Burrow, quick.
Well, Joe Burrow admitted something about the Ravens defensive coordinator made some comments. I mean, I don't know what the Ravens defensive coordinator said. I mean, it doesn't matter what Baltimore did. The bottom line is Cincinnati just kicked their ass. And Joe Burrow never gets enough credit. Never.
In tribute to John Madden, we get 525 passing yards from Joe Burrow. I'm happy.
Joe Burrow, future.
I just may have to play a game with the Cincinnati Bengals on John Madden football and see what happens.
Cincinnati versus your Patriots. Do that.
Well, that's a potential playoff matchup.
Yeah.
Which I would love to see, by the way. I would love to see that matchup, actually. All right. We did have the Chicago Bears traveling to the 12th man in the Great White North, where there was a crap load of snow up in Seattle. Final score, Bears 25, Seattle 24. Seattle officially eliminated from playoff contention. Misi, what's doing?
And that's the second time in the Russell Wilson era that Seattle's out of the playoffs. Or not going to the playoffs, I should say.
I really have no words for this game whatsoever.
The Seahawks embarrassed themselves at home in the snow.
I just would have rather have been a snowplow in the stadium that day. I mean, that was an amazing sight.
One of the things to say is that Nick Foles started for Chicago.
You know what? And as much as everybody wants to hype up Justin Fields at a lot of points, he was hurt. Obviously, the Red Rifle, he was hurt. Give Nick Foles his due. He actually played a fairly decent game.
Yeah, he did.
Would you say this is the worst fourth quarter collapse all year long by any team? Because look, I mean, but the Seahawks,
it was embarrassing, but worse, I'm not sure.
They had a 24-14 lead.
You know what? A 10-point lead like that, I can understand. But if you look at a lot of the games that the Ravens played earlier this year, the one against the Colts, I believe, they were down by multiple scores in that game. They came back. like the Ravens were the comeback kids at the beginning of the year.
I think the Russell Wilson and the Pete Carroll era is officially over in Seattle. I think Pete Carroll retires, and I think Russell Wilson goes to another team.
I possibly think a little bit different on that. I think Carroll goes, but Wilson stays.
Because they'll build a wall around him because he's unhappy because of the offensive line.
Again, it depends on the coach and the GM. If you could bring a GM in, right? And this is almost in the fantasy football state of mind, okay? You have locked picks that you have on your team, okay? Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. If you can get your running backs healthy again, you've already got viable pieces there. You're just missing the trenches. If you can get me two or three linemen, right, and put them there, you can make Russell Wilson happy. The problem that's always been there since they decided to dismantle, destroy, conquer, whatever, okay, was that defense. They dismantled the Legion of Boom piece by piece by piece by piece till it became Bobby Wagner, and that's it. He is the last viable piece of the Legion of Boom. That defense hasn't been good in 4 seasons. Russell Wilson's had to make that team work. He's tired of working now. Get me some players. That team didn't do it this year. You got to obviously break up the hierarchy and bring in better pieces. You already have a core there. You just got to add in the winning pieces. And that's the problem with the Seattle Seahawks right now. Carroll's system may be torched. Who knows?
Yeah, that rah-rah style is not working anymore.
But again, like it's the fact of it being that, you've already got a lot of pieces in place. You just got to add in. And it's kind of stupid to say, but the Giants were like that too. The Giants had a lot of good pieces to start the season. Granted, they all got hurt, but there was no guys in the trenches. And that's always been a problem for a lot of teams.
Oh, yeah, especially mine.
I don't even want to talk about that. I don't even want to talk about that. That's probably one of the best offensive lines I've seen in football for the longest time.
Yeah, but there have been problems this year.
I did not load it, but we did have a decently viable game that decided pretty much the standings for the AFC. We did have the Kansas City Chiefs. Can you smell what they're cooking? Hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, my bad.
Well, the way they played, I think you were good. I think you're good on this one.
Kansas City 36, Pittsburgh 10.
Come on. The way they played, the way you say Pittsburgh, you can't be wrong.
The Kansas City Chiefs had a 30-0 lead. I turned the game off. As much as I had stake in the game for my fantasy playoffs, I turned the game off. The utter ridiculousness of the Pittsburgh Steelers showing up as a high school team compared to an actual NFL team. I could definitely see the reason why Big Ben is done after this year. Homeboy is taking a beating. He is taking the proverbial beating. Jonathan?
He really is. And I really feel sorry for Mike Tomlin because he's been there for 14 seasons now, and he's never had a losing season. And, you got a bunch of players on this team that's very immature. They act childish. And Chase Claypool, for instance. He doesn't take this game seriously to me. It seems like TikTok dancing is more important than preparing for a football game each week. So this team is a dumpster fire. This team needs a new direction. I'm not really sure what the Steelers need, but you can't place all the blame on Mike Tomlin because he's only had one bad season, and if it happens to come with this team, Ben Roethlisberger has finally admitted that it's time to retire. that it's time to hang up the cleats finally.
Wait, he
So
did?
now he
did say that?
But but now here's the thing. Now the Steelers have to look for a new quarterback. The defense is not that good. I remember when the Steelers had one of the more legit defenses in the league. I mean, this used to be a dominant defense. They used to be called Blitzburg, and people used to be scared to face this Steelers team. I mean, that's how good they were. You talk about all the defensive players they had over the years, the James Harrisons, the Troy Palomalus, the Joey Porters, the list goes on. And now you see that this team is the laughingstock of the NFL, that these players out there don't take this game as seriously. I mean, it's just sad to see that it has really come crumbling down for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I, like Prez, I turned the game off on Sunday because it was no contest. It simply was just a utter blowout. And the Chiefs, handed the Steelers a lopsided defeat, and it was ugly.
Just as ugly as this next game that we're going to talk about. We got a lot of segues tonight, which is good. I like that. Segues are good. The Las Vegas Raiders hosting the Denver Broncos. I don't know any of the names of the major highways, but this was a major train wreck in the middle of the season. Yes, the city of sin with the train wreck in the middle of it. The final score, Raiders 17, Denver 13. These two teams are floundering. And I can say floundering only for the fact being is they're hovering around 500. I don't see either one of these teams making the playoffs. Did I have a lot of faith in either one of these teams going to the game? Absolutely not. Raiders were out down Darren Waller. Denver, no Teddy Bridgewater, which again was kind of the thing that the Denver Broncos were missing in this game, because Drew Lock was a dumpster fire too. I could say that.
Yeah, well, we already knew that about Drew Lock. It's nothing new. That's nothing new. The Broncos. A lot of people made the argument that the Broncos were a quarterback away from being a contending team because they had the defense in place. And the way the defense played, it should have resulted in a victory. But it didn't, because they lack on the offensive side of the ball simply because they have no quarterback. And what it all boils down to is accountability for that Broncos team. So when you look at it, the Broncos deserve to lose. They deserve what they got. Because until that team gets a legitimate quarterback, they're going to be in the position that they're in right now.
I totally agree. But the even on the other side of the ball, the Raiders didn't look good at all. They were viable in the running game. I think the passing game was a little awkward for me. Personally, I guess that snowball effect of them not only losing Gruden, but then they lose Ruggs, and then they lost Waller. I don't even think we'll see Waller for the rest of the season unless somehow Oakland is really going to try to win the last two games out. I believe one of those games is against the Chiefs. That doesn't bode well for them at all. And I believe the Chiefs play Denver at the end of the season, so that doesn't bode well at all for them. So both of these teams, again, the mediocrity in the NFL is the way I got to list them both as. Okay, Alex, are you ready to have the floor?
Yeah.
You ready to have the floor, Alex? Are you ready?
I wish you had this. I wish you had the soundbite to kind of describe this game from a certain perspective.
You can give me 1 second. I can pull that one up.
All right.
You know what, Alex? Just give everybody this.
I'm pretty sure Jonathan would love to hear it. What's up
for it?
Oh, I actually got to share the sound again, so you might have to. Let me see if I can find Mr. Ross. Okay, I got to share the sound again so he can hear it. Go ahead. At least announce the score, Alex.
56-14. 42-7 at halftime.
Like I said before, I did legit turn this game off at halftime. And this was the actual one sound, Jonathan, that was in my head the entire time.
Somebody stop the damn match! Enough's enough!
Exactly. Enough is enough.
The Cowboys said, "Oh, I don't think so. This is our house. We decide when it's enough." But I mean, I actually, unfortunately, I didn't preview the game because it was the holidays. But I never would have expected the game to go like this. If I would have previewed it, I would have said Dallas wins 31-21. I was like, this is an NFC East game. This is a rivalry that goes back a long time. Washington is not just going to go away. But it happened. I mean, the offense finally snapped out of it for once. I mean, the play calling was actually a whole lot better. I didn't have to bury my quarterback. I didn't have to go on a tirade about the offensive coordinator. Defense did its job like they have the last few weeks. The defense was fine, but this team was fully balanced. The special teams, the offense, the defense. I mean, a couple of facts from this game. I mean, Prescott is the first quarterback to throw a touchdown to a running back, tight end, receiver, and an offensive line in a regular season game. Because let's not forget, Kurt Warner did that once in a playoff game. And check this out. A first time in Cowboys history where both an offensive line and a defensive line scored a touchdown because DeMarcus Lawrence had the pick six. I mean, this game, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're just sitting there, like that. You're loving it. I mean,
how the mighty have fallen the WFT, or like I call them, the WTF. Really did kind of shock me because I did think that they were playing pretty good football for the last few weeks. And then they walk into this game and just get legitimately smoked like a bad cigar in the middle of Tijuana.
Well,
I'm not even saying Cuba, I'm saying Tijuana.
Let me ask you, gentlemen, this. A few weeks ago, what did those Washington football team fans say? What did they say they wanted?
They wanted the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
Well, they got what they wanted.
Yep. Be careful what you wish for, because
Amen.
I'm the Cowboys, man.
I mean, did Washington really try to insult them by bringing their own heated benches?
Well, then again, that was kind of in the retort for Dallas bringing their own benches
took
to
it
Washington.
to him, man. The Cowboys took it to him. And Trayvon Diggs looks like the best cornerback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one more interception is what he needs to hold the record. I mean, he tied a 40-year-old record. That's amazing. And he did on the first play of Washington's offense too.
I do have a little bit of an outlook on that Diggs comment though. Because they compared him to National Lampoon's Christmas during the broadcast of the show. Yes, he is leading the NFL in interceptions, but he is also the only cornerback that gives up the most passing yards in a game.
He's not a shutdown. He's not a shutdown cornerback.
He's not a complete shutdown corner.
He can easily get beat in coverage. We've seen it.
Well, he did. He got killed against the Pats in the 75-yarder earlier this year.
I mean, Kelvin Joseph was the guy that was shut down. I mean, Kelvin Joseph started that game. He was a shutdown. I mean, he almost had that pick, but which is. I wish he could have gotten the pick.
Shutdown corner, but he does a great job to contain certain receivers, and he also he's also great at reading the field. I will give him that as well.
Yeah. He's not shut down yet, but he certainly has potential of being in. One of the highlights from this game also, we also Randy Gregory with Taylor Heinicke. Did you guys see that? When Randy Gregory literally like that and did that with Taylor Heinicke, and they had a moment. It was a moment of respect. You could just tell Randy Gregory has a sense of humor, and the referee was right there. I was like, I thought that the referee was like, oh, he didn't throw the flag. But I guess one of the things is also we saw on the sideline when Darren Payne and Jonathan Allen got into it. And, and these guys were teammates in college. I mean, there was a little bit of a debate because Payne supposedly poked Jonathan Allen, and then Jonathan Allen got up and then swung at him. And I said, look, the bottom line is it doesn't matter who started. The bottom line is they were you can't do that. I get it. It's frustrating, but
that fight on the sideline was better than half the UFC fights over the weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Tempers are tempers flare sometime, and sometimes your emotions boil over, and you see this kind of stuff. But I mean, it happens on every team. Let's not sit here and pretend like the Washington football team is the only team that's doing this. The cameras just happen to catch those two guys going at it. Yeah. But I'm sure all the rest of the NFL teams have players that have disagreements and that come close to blows inside the locker room. We just don't see it publicly like we saw that incident.
Finally, we had Monday Night Football. This is a game I was actually waiting to talk about. We had the New Orleans Saints hosting the Miami Dolphins, whom in this game made NFL history. Final score, Dolphins 20, Saints 3. The lovely quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, Mr. Ian Block, had this in mind while he was playing the game. Yes, he saw morons, okay? Because his first play from scrimmage throws a pick six.
No squish the fish for you again, Ricky.
No squishy the fishies again.
But I think this week we kind of knew that was not going to happen.
Again, when you don't have a viable NFL quarterback, the New York Giants, I can't say about the Ravens because Josh Johnson actually had a good game. Yeah, but there are a bunch of teams that are crapping the mattress because they don't have viable quarterbacks behind center. And this also was a record for Notre Dame quarterbacks who are now 0-24 since leaving Notre Dame. That was a pretty impressive stat because Ian Block is a former Notre Dame Irish. The Dolphins have creative NFL history to go 1-7 the first 8 games, and then win 7 in a row.
Yeah.
So I was pretty impressed with this. And one of the viable things about this game is Tua was fairly good in this. And because of Mr. Waddle, our fearless co-host, Mr. Playmaker, was eliminated from the ESPN playoffs.
You know what? I think what it is with the Dolphins is that why they don't get a lot of attention, which they haven't, is because they don't really have a star. You know, Devontae Parker, he's decent. He's a decent receiver. You have Waddle, who's starting to come into his own, but you still don't have that legitimate star that puts fear in other teams. And I think that's where the Dolphins lack, and that's why a lot of people are not talking about the Dolphins, because what they've done is pretty impressive. You know, to start the season 1-7, and then you all of a sudden you win 7 in a row. That says a lot about your team. That says that your team has a lot of fight, that your team has a lot of heart, that your team is poised in the moment. And a lot of that credit goes to Brian Flores, because, you know, this team is gritty, you know, and this team never gave up. They kept fighting, and look where they are now. They have a chance to make the playoffs, which is pretty incredible for what this team has been through. And the defense has stood tall during this stretch. The defense has been the difference for the Dolphins. You know, I mean, this is a team that was on murder's row, you know, and somehow, some way, they have launched themselves into prime contention.
So that pretty much covers the week 16 games in the NFL. There is no Thursday night football this week. Man. I'm actually very shocked about this. With 2 weeks left in the season, no Thursday night football, no Monday night football.
There's no football the rest of the year. Literally.
Yeah, that is pretty much it.
The next football game is going to be in 2022.
Well, actually, that's not true. We do have college coming up.
Okay, well, there's no NFL football for the
No,
rest of the
NFL football. Unless we're playing Madden.
year. Okay, well.
Right.
And I'll be doing that a lot this week. And believe it or not, this is actually our second to actually, no, this is our last. Well, I don't know. It may be our last one for the year. Unless we do one Friday. I don't know. Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure which one we're doing. Jonathan, it was a pleasure and an honor to have you back on the show again.
Always a pleasure.
Give everybody your social media where they can find you, shows, etc.
Sure thing. So, guys, you guys can find me on Instagram, SportsJudge85. You guys can also find me on Twitter. I'm not very active there. I don't post much there. I don't tweet a lot. So, but you guys can still find me there. So, Twitter, SportsJudge85. Where you guys might want to follow me and pay close attention is to my Sports Judge fan page on Facebook. It's always lively. I'm always posting sports memes. I also post current content, my commentary there, so you guys can check that out too. And I am a co-host for a show called Just Say the Truth. It's powered by the ASAP Sports Network. If you guys haven't heard of the ASAP Sports Network, check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out just about on every social media platform there is. You guys can check us out on YouTube. And I also just launched a new show with my good friend Jake Book. That's also part of the ASAP Network. It's every Sunday night. It's called Take Two with Jonathan and Jake. So you guys can follow me there and keep up with the latest and current content that I share and post up.
Bearman, final words.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. Not for the rest of the year.
Okay. So I get to give my granule speech now? Okay. Tomorrow, Pipe Bomb Radio at 4 or 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Spreaker channel. If you do not know where that is, go to Spreaker.com. Search Pipe Bomb Radio NYC. We will have some good music and commentary for you tomorrow. Thursday evening, 7:30 or 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Patriot Pipe Bomb, final episode for the year of 2021. Wow, it's going to be almost 5 years worth of Pain Train Pipe Bomb. My God. Full cast. Everybody's invited. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a mini drinking celebration. I don't know yet. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Then we have Flashback Fridays and possibly more ArchRivals football on Friday. To be determined on the ArchRivals. But we do have Flashback Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get a little frisky and go on a little bit earlier. It is New Year's, for Christ's sakes. And then that'll be pretty much it, the rest of the schedule for 2021. However, if you do not get a chance to say hello to us or say anything, please have a great holiday. Don't drink and drive. Don't be stupid. Be safe. Show sponsored by Super Draft Pro and Super Draft Sportsbook. I am the Prez. That is the Bear Man. We got Jonathan on the show. We will catch you guys later.